What is up, my dudes? Welcome back to Storytime with your favorite Reddit fairy. My name is Lorna, and today we're getting into the subreddit r/MaliciousCompliance. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. Mess cook malicious complies for special meal, resulting in 6 months of Brussels sprouts being shot out the torpedo tubes. Posted by user Betty Brighteye. Background: my father was in the Navy and submarine force for 35 years. He does not discuss anything related to this. He is very reserved and secretive. The only reason I know this story is the chaplain told my mom. My father had just received his first command of a submarine and was very busy trying to ensure everything was ready before departure. He had a steady stream of people interacting with him, and the mess cook jumped in and asked him, "What do you want for your special meal?" My father had no idea what he was talking about, assuming it was some dessert for tonight's dinner. Sarcastically, he replied, "Brussels sprouts." My father doesn't really joke and is rather serious and not approachable, so I can see why this would not be taken as a joke, but a command. So about 3 days into the voyage, my dad comments during dinner, "This cook really likes to use Brussels sprouts," since they've had them every day for lunch and dinner. One of the officers lets the cook know the commander is not really big on the whole Brussels sprouts menu he has going. The cook's face goes pale when he hears this, and immediately then tells my dad about the time he had asked him about his special meal, and he responded with Brussels sprouts. My dad feels like an idiot and apologizes for the misunderstanding. It really isn't that bad if this is just me. The cook pauses, well, as a matter of fact, it was for the whole ship. My dad then asks, "Do the crew like Brussels sprouts?" The cook now admits there has been some grumbling about the addition of daily Brussels sprouts to the menu. My dad then asks how much there is. Surely it won't last the week, correct? If it's for the ship? The cook, now filled with this dismay, relates there is in fact a 6-month supply of Brussels sprouts, and it's taking up a lot of space. My dad then sarcastically said we might have a Brussels sprout mutiny on our hands. My father realizes he is the new commander and he is not making a very good impression with the crew by inflicting Brussels sprouts on them daily. Submarines don't just return to port or radio another ship to transfer supplies. They have predetermined rendezvous points with subtenders or ports of calls. They can go months without surfacing or radio contact. My dad then orders a torpedo drill, and the Brussels sprouts were the ammunition. 6 months of Brussels sprouts were sent to the murky depths of the Atlantic Ocean. There was an immediate boost in morale. I love Brussels sprouts, but I wouldn't want to eat them every day. That would wreak havoc on my insides, I think. And not just that, probably everybody's nostrils too. I don't think that was really malicious compliance, though, unless you think it was the father who was maliciously complying to what he wanted his special dinner to be, I guess. Maybe, yeah. This story's funny, though. Oh, your security? Okay, fella. Order received and understood. Posted by user Beelzebub's Cousin 19. I used to work as a crew member for gigs, sometimes at Wembley Stadium, London, and one particular time, in 1999, we're helping the set designer with his massive set, and they keep us on for a few gigs. Most load-ins for a gig, getting the stage up, the set, lighting, sound, etc., take a few days, but because of the roof on Wembley, and the fact there was a lot of pyro on this set, it would take a week. We all have our AAA passes, getting everything ready for the load-in. Ramps all set, and we get told the trucks are going to be delayed, but to not set up the barriers again for where they are parked. We get to lie around chatting shit to each other waiting for the trucks. We say hello to the security guys and bring them cups of tea every now and then. We're all cool and just enjoying doing nothing and getting paid for it. Then there is a shift change on the security, and Robo Security pulls up in his tricked-out car. "Who are you lot?" he asks, and a forest of AAAs appear and are waved. "What are you doing waiting here?" I'm supervising the very, very hard work of dossing, so I say, "All right, mate, we're just waiting for the load-in, but the trucks are delayed." He then replies, "I'm not your mate. I'm here to look after the security for backstage." Like, the backstage for a gig at Wembley only needs him and to make it secure. Okay. We're going to be here for a week, so I tried to build bridges and the conversation goes like this. Me: "Are you going to park there?" Robo-Knob: "Yeah, I'm security." Me: "I wouldn't park there." Robo-Knob: "It's parking in it, so I'm parking there. Talk to production if there's a problem." Me: "No worries, mate." He stomps off to protect the band as he probably sees it. The trucks then start arriving, and as I'm supervising, I get to park them up. They arrive in 8s, as there are 38 containers coming, and they drop the trailer and the cab goes off to get another. I'm asked about the car parked in the middle of the parking area for the trailers, and I have to tell them that he's security and I've been told to take it up with production if there is an issue. An accord is reached without a word being said, and the trailers are distributed by how they are loaded in. But the first 4 all seem to be parked around Robo-Knob's car. We get all the trailers set and start the night-long load-in. A lot of it is just emptying the trailers and putting the flight cases where they need to be. So it gets to 6 a.m. in the morning, and we've been going hard since 11 p.m. the night before. And lo, Robo-Knob appears. "Where's my car?" Me: "It's where you parked it, mate." Robo-Knob: "How am I gonna get it?" Me: "Best speak to production, as we're not allowed to move them trailers now until next Monday." His bottom lip actually quivered and he walked off. We then got to see him picked up by his missus, her giving lip all the time for getting her up at this time. Edit: just as a closure. At the end of the week, we're leaving and we see he's now on the road directing traffic. My guys wanted to have a pop, but I stopped them and had a chat with him. He'd been moved from backstage and put on traffic for the week because he had gone straight to production and not his supervisor. Big no-no for security to bother production. TLDR, security guard thinks he can park anywhere. 38 trailers being parked for a gig at Wembley Stadium. He parks where they will be parked there for a week. Tried to warn him, but "I'm security. If there's a problem, take it up with production." Okay, mate. He had to get picked up by his significant other at 6 a.m. as his car was in there for a week. That's what happens when you think you're... See, people try to be nice, and this guy, maybe he's a bit of a Kevin himself. Not OP, but the security guard. I think that's another job I wouldn't want to have. I wouldn't want to do security. I mean, I kind of did as like loss prevention at some really big blue retail store, but that was about it. I don't think I'd want to get any further than that in the whole security thing. No. I actually, when I was in high school, I got accepted to a law and security program because I wanted to be a cop. Fun fact. But yeah, I never ended up doing that. You want your groceries out here with me? Have fun getting them soaked. Posted by user Nova Corona. On mobile, so sorry about the formatting. So I work at a large retail establishment in the United States that started doing grocery pickup within the last year. Think Kroger's Click List. Basically, customers place orders online, we shop for their groceries, then we bring them to their cars during a set time frame. We read off any substitutions. If anything was unavailable, we get their signature and load the groceries. One day, it was ridiculously busy and pouring rain. We don't have any form of an awning or anything to protect us or the groceries or our equipment from the rain other than raincoats and maybe an umbrella. We also have to read any changes to the order off of basically a chunky smartphone. Obviously, if that gets wet, there's gonna be issues. Whenever it's like this, most of our customers are very understanding, but some people are super impatient. I decided that to minimize how wet the groceries and our handhelds got, I would go outside with an umbrella, read off the order, then go back inside and get the groceries. Everyone was fine with this, except for this one woman. I explained my method to her, and she immediately complained about her wait, knowing full well it was pouring rain and all of our parking spots were full, and said she wasn't going to sign anything unless her groceries were out there in front of her. She didn't have any substitutions, and I had her order inside, right next to the door. I guess she either thought I'd steal something or that I'd move on to another customer. I figured I'd go ahead and comply. I went inside, put my umbrella away, and as slowly as possible, parked her groceries in the rain behind her car. Then walked up to her and pretended to have trouble with my handheld due to the rain. Then let her know everything was picked as ordered. I guess she felt bad or realized what she asked me to do, because she apologized and helped me load the groceries. Wow, that's pretty cool. I want a job like that. You just do shopping for people? I mean, you have to deal with Karens like this occasionally, but for the most part, it sounds like you get to work by yourself. Unless this is just like a partnership where the actual store is still open. But if it wasn't, that would be sweet. Oh no, we can't have too many emails. Enjoy being in the dark. Posted by user eFerreNK. If I said that right, I will be surprised. Not as malicious as some malicious compliance in this subreddit, but it was a decision made by people who didn't understand my job, and I complied knowing it would result in excrement hitting fans. So it seems fitting. Okay, so this was at my last job as the company's IT guy. It was supposed to be managed, but they refused to give me the title, even though I was effectively doing a manager's job, albeit without staff. On the second and fourth Thursday of each month, I would update all of their servers in line with Patch Tuesday. This was in Australia, so I'd download updates on Wednesday afternoon and install them on Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. It was also a good opportunity to engage in some preventative maintenance, installing hardware, firmware updates, that sort of thing. On the day of the maintenance, I would send 6 emails related to it, one at 9 a.m., one at 4:30 p.m. to remind everyone as they wrapped up for the day, one an hour before, one 10 minutes before, one just before I start, and one to sound the all clear once I was done. A salesperson complained that I was sending too many emails about this, so the general manager, GM, and managing director, MD, told me to only send one email at 4:30 p.m. I asked about the all clear email and was shot down. All right then, cue malicious compliance. The next patch Thursday, 2 things happened. The GM got booted out of the system when I brought it down for patching. Not the first time. Last time, he had time to stop me thanks to the emails I sent. Funny that. He called, angrily demanding I stop, but I pointed out that A, the email I sent at 4:30 p.m., and B, that the process had started and could not be stopped. No idea how long it would take. Usually takes about 3 hours. Sorry. 3.5 hours later, the last server finished updates and booted back up. I opened Outlook and almost clicked new email before remembering that I was not allowed to send the all clear email. Oh well. I turned to my phone off and went to bed. The next day, I woke to several voicemail messages from my colleagues, as well as messages from an angry GM and MC demanding to know why I didn't send the all clear. I printed off the email where they shot down my question about the all clear email and showed them upon arrival at the office. After this, I went to each desk and called each remote salesperson to tell everyone that the maintenance was done, making no secret of the fact that I was told not to send an all clear. When I returned to my desk, there was a reply to the email trail about the notifications requesting that I send an all clear from now on. Edit. Clarified the days of the month. Thanks, user/bear in the corner. So, I definitely believe this story. Definitely. There would be times where we would schedule things with sites at my last job, and doesn't matter how many times you tell them, there's always at least a couple maybe 3 or 4 users that continue to use their machines at the time that we said not to. And then they get mad because, well, I'm booted off. I don't have my shared drives anymore because the servers are being rebooted. Like, and then they get angry at us. Like, no, it's your fucking dumb, stupid ass's fault for not paying attention to all the communications we've been sending you about this. Like, it's not a surprise. People, I definitely believe this. And my dude, you should post this in Tales from Tech Support too. If you happen to see this video, you should definitely cross-post it there because that's awesome. Won't take my order over the counter? Okay, I'll go to the drive-thru. Posted by user Fuck the System. TLDR at the bottom. A few months ago, I was visiting Hawaii. Not being American, I am not used to cars or drive-thru culture. It was 11 p.m. and I was hungry, so I decided to visit McDonald's. Store manager told me she ain't taking my order and I should use the drive-thru. Without thinking about it too much, I just lined up behind the cars like a maniac. By the time it was my turn, the machine didn't even detect my presence, so I asked the guy behind me to drive forward a bit. After taking my order, I mentioned, by the way, I'm walking, and the guy was like, oh, okay. Once it was my time to pay, the same manager lady saw me and said, oh, hell no. She was very pissed and told me to never do it again. Still got my nuggies. TLDR, McDonald's manager told me to use the drive-thru, so I walked because no car. Okay, what? So, were they closed inside? Is that why she wouldn't take your order? I'm very, very confused as to why she told you to go through the drive-thru. Because most McDonald's that I know of, they close at like midnight, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I'm probably wrong. I'm wrong about most things, I guess. But what I feel like there's more to the story that we should be hearing. I totally understand why they don't want people walking through the drive-thru, because if you're in your car, you open the door to get out. Sometimes, more than likely, the wall will be blocking your way out of your car. So if you get like some kind of explosive anger at the person at the drive-thru window, you're not able to jump out and like attack them. Whereas if you just walk through, you could just attack them. Like you could just jump through the window, you know? So I can kind of understand why they don't do that, but it is kind of silly that they tell them to go through the drive-thru without a car. Oh, I have to ask for my days off to be my days off? Okay. Posted by user Wartpig. So I started a new job about 2 months ago. During the hiring and interview process, it was established overtime was voluntary, and if we wanted to work it, all we had to do was ask. I start, and for the first 2 weeks, there wasn't any overtime happening, and I didn't ask. Working second shift pretty much means your whole weekend is shot if you go in on a Saturday. But by the third week, me and a few other people were just scheduled without being asked availability. No big deal. I can do a few here and there, I thought. And we worked 2 weekends in a row. Now, this pattern starts to repeat for the last 2 months now. Have 1 weekend off, then work the next 2. Come this week, I'm put on the schedule again for a Saturday, and I go to my boss stating that I'm not available. This is when I'm told I have to tell them a week in advance if I want my days off to be, well, off. So I email HR asking them about what was stated during onboarding and the situation. I'm told that it's voluntary and that's company policy. I go in the next day and notify my boss that I'm giving them lots of advance notice that I'm not available for any Saturday for the next 3 months, and if things change, I'll follow policy and volunteer. She got blood red in the face in anger and called HR and was told the same story and that I wasn't violating any rules. Some notes. Bosses are not able to hire or fire at my company or even recommend it. It is 100% HR's job. The company is desperate for workers as the average stay is only about 3 weeks for a new hire. We also don't get a lunch break at all, and this wasn't mentioned until my first day on the job. I am a CNC operator / machinist, making parts for several military contractors. Really? So I wonder if this is like a government job as well. Like, is this considered a government job, or are you just like contracted by the government? So it's like not, you guys don't get the same benefits as the government. Because if you don't, if you are under a branch of the government, that's really fucked that you don't get a fucking lunch. That's bullshit. I think everybody should get a lunch, but I feel the pain about having to work weekends because my last job had me doing it every fucking weekend since February. After, when I was hired, I was told 1 weekend a month on rotation. So I was seeing all these new guys get brought on, not having to work weekends, and them treating me like I was the office bitch, having to work every single fucking weekend. So I had no life, never seen my family. Like, it was ridiculous. I was just getting miserable, more and more and more miserable every day. Not to mention the whole, like, toxic work environment that was going on with the manager of that department, who is okay, I'm not gonna get into it, but anyway, I know what you're feeling, man. No, you don't want to work every fucking weekend. It's bullshit, especially when you get up in a little bit in age like me. I mean, I'm not saying I'm old or anything, but once you've been working for like a solid 20 years, I think you kind of get to a point where you're like, I don't want to be treated like a fucking child anymore. Like, let's have some stability. Okay, excuse me, it is. Posted by user Plesiosaur420. This is a bit of a milder story, but oh well. Some background information. I, like many humans, get hiccups from time to time. However, mine are rather burp-like compared to other people's. Still distinguishable as hiccups, but more annoying. Every time I get hiccups and the situation permits, I will say sorry if others are around and go get a drink of water and wait for them to blow over. This story starts with my father disliking my hiccups. Every time I get them and he is around, sorry doesn't cut it for him. He always yells at me to say excuse me. So I did. Every time I hiccup and I'm in the vicinity of him, I go find him and say, excuse me. It's been going on for a week now, although I have slipped a few times and said sorry instead. Hopefully it will not carry on too long. I get bouts of hiccups a lot, actually. If I suck in too much air in my lungs or something and it goes into my gut, I don't know. I don't know, but I get hiccups a lot, like especially I'll go outside for a few minutes, come back inside, sit down too fast, and I'll just start hiccuping. It's really weird. The more you know. All right, my dudes, we're going to get into the last story of the day, and this one is called, You Want All Calls That Ask for You to Be Given to Your Direct Number? Okay. Posted by user Wodaji. The owner of a regional transportation company sold his business and was made vice president of operations of the new company. I was hired as general manager and had an office staff of 12 and a couple hundred drivers. The office routinely received telemarketer calls asking for previous owner to sell services or merchandise, and I had office staff screen those to only let legitimate business calls through. One day, I had to cover a dispatcher's desk and received a call asking for previous owner. May I ask who's calling? To which she replied, Oh, never mind, I have his cell. Within minutes, a group email, CCing the president and all my staff, said that a very important customer called and was insulted that someone from the office asked who she was. From now on, all calls asking for previous owner are to immediately be given his cell phone number without question. I replied to all saying, as instructed by previous owner, all calls are to be given his cell phone number without question. By the end of the day, previous owner had gotten so many cold callers that he sent another email saying to resume how we handled calls before. Oh, that's pretty shitty though. Like if they're not even the owner anymore, why do you have to listen to anything they say? I don't get it. I don't know. But yeah, that's malicious compliance right there. I like it. Do you have a malicious compliance story? I'd like to hear it. You know I would. All right, my dudes, that's all the stories I've got for you today. I hope you liked it. If you did, how about smashing that like button? Maybe consider subscribing and hitting that little bell icon next to it to be notified when I have future videos just like this so you never miss one. Also, the links to these stories will be in the description, so head on over to Reddit and show those posters some love with some upvotes. You know they deserve it. And while you're in the enchanted land of Reddit, head on over to r/Reddit Fairy and post your stories, my dudes, because you never know. It just might show up in the next episode. Until next time, stay magical, my dudes.